Chrissy. Welcome to Pursuit of Momming. October is Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month, and today I'm going to be talking about how I discussed my miscarriage with my 4-year-old son. I've talked to him about it before, and I'm not going into detail on every conversation I've had with him, but I think this month we had a really special conversation about his little sister. On October 1st, we went to my dad's grave because that's the anniversary of his death, and it was the first time that I had ever taken my kids there. So I took that opportunity to talk to my son about him and explain again who he is, and that led into a conversation with him about his first sister, the one that we lost to miscarriage. And I think he reached a deeper understanding than he's reached before. And when we went home, I just felt inspired to journal about it. And I don't keep a journal or anything, but the way that I felt that I needed to journal it was sort of in a cartoon style, like a illustrated style, kind of inspired by an Instagram account I followed called Momming with Truth. And so I'll stick that in here. Death is a really difficult concept to discuss with kids. It's a pretty abstract idea that somebody perishes, somebody dies, you don't see them anymore, especially if it's someone they've never met, like someone who died before they were born, or a baby that died before the baby was born. But another person who he has met and he does remember who died was my grandma, which is my father's mom. And as you could see in the illustrations, her grave was there too, and we talked about her. And I think his great-grandma, his grandpa, and his little sister all being part of that conversation, I think the puzzle pieces really started coming together for him, and I think that's just really special. It's important to know about your family and all of our loved ones, and it's important to know about death. In the American culture in the United States, I think we tend to shy away from it. Maybe some other countries too, but that there are countries that are really good at talking about it and having the deceased loved ones remain part of their everyday life. And that's kind of how it was for me with my dad growing up. I was 7 when he passed away, but over the years, my family has been really good at just keeping his memory and legacy alive and making death something that we could always talk about. So so that we can understand it more and more over the years, so we can figure out how to deal with grief more and more over the years. And for me personally, it really paved a way through my own grief experience. Like the grief of losing my dad paved the way to the grief of losing my baby. And I talk about that in another video. So like that's one of the reasons why it's important to me to have this open dialogue with my kids about it. Right now just with the 4-year-old, because his other sister is only 1.5 years right now, but the more we have these experiences and conversations as a family, the more opportunity it'll give me to bring it up with her and give her the chance to learn about it and understand as well. So in the future, when they experience a more significant loss to themselves personally, I'm hoping that this will help pave the way for them like it did for me. And faith plays a big role in that for my family. I want to be clear with them that these people died and understand what that means, and we have to be really sort of blunt when we talk to kids about death so it isn't confusing. But for me, I also want to talk about heaven and the hope we have with Jesus being part of our lives, and the hope we have that the people who have died and passed away will now have a life free of suffering, free of pain, full of joy, full of love, and that's something that will be reconciled for us one day as well. So I hope it isn't fearful when I talk to him about it, and my daughter one day. So in the meantime, I guess I just want to make it as comfortable of a conversation as we can. And in the days and weeks after, I could tell he was still thinking about it, and he would bring up people that he still gets to see and still gets to play with and enjoy time with. And we talk about the people that are with Jesus as well. Another little topic that I want to throw into this video that happened in the same day is that when we went to the grave, I brought this little bulb with me that was from a flower that I received when I had my miscarriage. And I wanted to replant it initially, but since we were in Indiana at the time and we were only in an apartment, I didn't want to never see it again when we moved. So I didn't really know what to do with it, and I just like kept it in the freezer. I didn't really know what to do with it. And eventually I decided I'm just going to bring it to my dad's grave whenever I go there next. And I didn't really have a plan beyond that. It was just this like irrational thing that I needed to do, but quite often we find ourselves doing irrational things to help us cope with grief and help us on our healing journey. And it's okay if it doesn't make sense, whatever it is that helps give you peace, as long as it isn't hurting anyone, including yourself. So I brought that bulb with me when we went to his grave, and I just kind of tucked it into the grass. It's not going to grow or anything, but that's just what I wanted to do with it. And so now, in a way, they can be remembered together there. Like I said to my son, we don't need a special place to remember people. We can remember them all the time. We can have conversations about them all the time. But it's still special to have a place like that and have a little ceremony, if you can call it that. So let me know in the comments what kind of ceremony you had for your loved ones and how you've talked about it with other people. Thanks for watching. Bye.